Another big show that hit this year that I've been a part of was I joined the Star Wars universe. And that has been really pretty incredible to be able to be Moff Gideon in this new Mandalorian series that is the true space western with all the mythology that Joe Campbell wrote a book called The Power of Myth. And of course, the folks who were doing the original Star Wars were really, George Lucas was really pulling from that mythology and how we identify with heroes. Mm-hmm. And I think it was such a beautiful time for this show to come out because we are getting a clear dose of the example that we need heroes in our world today to guide us and to encourage us that we can get through these trying times that we're in right now.
Curious, mostly just because I'm thinking about you out there in the wilds of Albuquerque shooting like in the real world. And there's been a lot of talk recently about, they've been doing documentary specials and so forth about how The Mandalorian was filmed and how it was a very non-real environment. And I'm curious for you as an actor, what was that experience like?
Well, so it's been my year, so to speak. It started with Mandalorian and this video game I did, which is going to be huge and I can't really mention, with this new style acting, which in a way, this pandemic has also created another new style of acting for you through Zoom, mm-hmm. through our own mechanics of being able to figure out how we communicate. So Mandalorian was very similar to that because you're working in a big volume. So it's a big, huge room with thousands upon thousands of cameras that are about 3 or 4 inches in length and width. And they're little boxes that create not only, in the old days, we had green screen, which created our environment behind us. And now this world creates all of our solar system, our sky, our earth, but it's really being projected through a computer. So I find that your imagination has to fill in the rest. And so it's a different style of acting. You're looking around the room, you may have some props to stand on via the vehicle that you arrived in, whether it be my TIE fighter or something else, but there's nothing else there except what's projected. And so you create your look to a certain part of the environment, which guides the audience to look over that mountain or look up at that sky. And so all that has to be real. And so for me, I create a theatrical black box that there are other people in. That I can see other people there, the threat is coming from there, and you figure all that out and you mark it and label it and you make it real in the moment, but nothing's really there. So for me, that's an interesting way to recreate the scene in your head. Mm-hmm. So before, in this particular situation, I always sit down, read the scene, read the elements that are a part of the scene that I need to reflect upon, and then put the whole world there within my imagination and own it. And did I mention I have to do all that and wear a cape and carry a lightsaber, and make all that look like real and good? It's fascinating because you can control your environment to a certain extent because you're controlling your behavior. And so for me, I always have to focus, like working with Favreau and Filoni and these incredible technicians that have developed this. This is the first time a Star Wars piece has been done outside of London. Mm-hmm. Very first time, because Jon Favreau convinced them that he could do the technology and it would be up to snuff and it would be commensurate with the other Star Wars movies. And they gave him a shot at that. But they're over there trying to figure out all that, right? Like, so when I'm sitting here, I'm looking at you, this whole room could just move sideways. And they're figuring out which way they want it to move, what they want projected, how they want the sky to move. And I have to stay in the moment of figuring out what's my reality so they can really feel that. So I feel like my preparation for what I do on Star Wars is equal to or greater than what I would do anywhere else, because I'm having to feel the physical elements and impart them back to you without any help from anyone else except their technology, which works. Yeah.
Is it easier to work with than like your traditional, like just flat green screen?
I like it more because it completes the environment for me. Like, you walk into this volume and you could be in the desert. They could take you into outer space. Like, they literally put it up there. And I was so very impressed. Before I left Star Wars, the last episode, I was leaving. It was going to be Christmas. They were just finishing up. And they said, oh, wait. We want to give you a good send-off. And I'm standing in the big spaceship, and there are windows everywhere. And they said, so look to the right. And all of a sudden, Santa and his reindeers whoosh go across all of hyperspace with my name. Merry Christmas, Giancarlo. And I was just like, oh my gosh, they could do this? This is unbelievable. So I find that to be really pretty incredible, equal to the challenge of working in motion capture. Mm-hmm. So I started a film. I worked on a piece called Maze Runner with Wes Ball, who was doing a film called Mouse Guard, which he was preparing, and asked me to come in and start to work on it so we could convince the studio to go through with the film. It never did happen. It fell apart at the last minute, but that is a whole different situation. Now, I've done 2 of these motion capture pieces. That's intricate because you're wearing a helmet. So you have material on you. I was wearing in Mouse Guard a green bodysuit, could be black, all marked at your wrist and your knuckles and your elbow and your shoulder. And then you're wearing like a old-time football helmet with cameras and lights on it that are right in front of your face, capturing your every motion of your face so they can put that onto the character that they're creating in the computer. So that's another challenging way to act, because you're very aware that you're moving this head helmet with cameras and lights on it. And if you bump into your scene partner by getting too close, they have to come and readjust. It's a whole process of readjusting it all. But for me as an actor, you have to allow that to record everything, because it's going to look really just like a real movie. That's the technology today. They take all of what my emotions in my face, my body language, and they transfer that into a character on screen. But for me as an actor, I've got to get around all of the stuff. The camera in my face, the light shining in my eyes. I got to look in a certain way. All of these things are skills. So I learned a new skill by working on motion capture, and also with Mandalorian, that is going to be used more and more today than ever with what's happening in the world. So the actors that can walk onto a set and have done motion capture, they know the drill of where to put your arms. There's all these things of where you can go. They're the ones that are going to be getting the work. So I feel like I've been blessed to learn how to work in a different environment, but how to make it real. So for me in the old days, I'm a theater person, man. I come from the stage. You get on stage, you talk to somebody, you do your lines, and you stay present in the moment. This other world is completely derivative of a comic book or the vision of the director or the drawings that they've made or how they want it's very specific. And so for me to be on every time is very important, because I want them to have the ability to record, to get the best take. And that takes a true collaboration between what I'm doing and what the camera's doing.